So, today we will learn about correlates of curriculum. You know that curriculum is all the activities that a learner learn inside the classroom and outside the classroom. But saying these only not gives the reflection of total curriculum. Curriculum planning and curriculum development is a big process and it is having several correlates that I have mentioned through this picture. In this picture, you may observe that the number one is objectives, number two is content, number three is learning experiences, number four is instructional strategy, number five is evaluation. So, we start from the number one, that is objectives. Objective means, as I told you in early lecture, that in previous lecture I told you that what is objective. Objective means what we have decided to achieve and what is proposed to achieve, you may say. So, objectives are considered under the head of Bloom's taxonomy. What does the Bloom taxonomy says? It says that cognitive, affective and psychomotor, these are the three domains of any individual that help to learn anything. So, when we prepare or when we formulate objectives, we take cognitive domain, we take affective domain, we take psychomotor domain. And we try to arrange the learnings in that way that what the learner learns through cognitive skills is now be transformed to the affective domain in order to develop the interest, in order to develop the good feelings, and what he has learnt, it should be observable in the behavior of a learner also. So, objectives are decided before start of any curriculum planning, but it is the part of curriculum planning. We just make a kind of proposal that what we have to achieve, and we try to achieve these all as per the Bloom's taxonomy in order to develop cognitive, affective and psychomotor domain of the students, so that we can develop the holistic personality of the student. The second is content. Content means instructional material or the kind of plans, the kind of lesson plans that we have to provide it to our students. So, as per the objectives, so we frame the content. Why? Because we want to achieve these objectives. The content may be related to your subject and it should be according to need of the society, according to age group of the students and according to IQ of the students also. So, whenever we select this content, we keep in mind several variables, that is maturity level of the learner, need of the learner and IQ of the learner, as well as the need of the society also. So, objective and content, first is objective, second is the content. Third one is the learning experiences. Learning experiences are of two types. One is direct learning experiences and another is indirect learning experiences. Direct learning experiences means that when the learner and teacher both are having direct contact. Teacher is teaching and student is receiving the knowledge. Student is receiving the knowledge. So, this is direct contact of teacher and learner. This is direct learning experiences. But in classroom, there are certain situations where we learn indirectly. Say for example, a teacher is teaching, all of a sudden principal came to the class, teacher stand up in order to pay the respect. Student observe that when the elders come to the class, we should stand up. So, this is a kind of indirect learning experiences. A student is unable to say anything and having certain kind of hesitation, but with sympathy, love and affection, a teacher tries anyhow. A student should be encouraged to speak something. So, another student who's observing that what a teacher is doing, what a teacher is trying with own pains, with the student who is unable to speak, it is an indirect kind of experiences. Sometimes it happens that the student is not giving the good response, but the teacher is having the sympathetic tone and having a kind of good words for him and anyhow trying to modify the response. So, what is this? This is indirect learning experiences. Yes, you are very good. Yes, you have done very well. Yes, excellent. So, these all sounds gives a kind of motivation to our students. So, these all situations where the direct and the indirect experiences all together react or interact and gives a positive effect on the personality of the student comes under the head of learning experiences. Dress of the students, way of standing, way of presenting, way of behaving with the students, paying respect, paying love and affection to the students and keeping good posture, gesture, these all are the indirect experiences that gives students a motivation and have a certain kind of impact or effect on the student's personality also. Another correlate of curriculum is instructional strategy. This part of correlate of curriculum covers the pedagogical practices. Say for example, the content selected for that particular chapter, what kind of instructional strategy is likely to be adopted here. Say for example, nature of the content is practical, so there should be demonstration, there should be a kind of experimentation. So, the methodology likely to be adopted by the teacher is demonstration method. There is some philosophical concepts and it is likely to be delivered orally. So, what kind of methodology, what kind of instructional strategy is likely to be followed here? That is lecture method. And in another case, the topic demands elaboration as well as demonstration. So, what will happen here? Here the teacher will have to follow the lecture cum demonstration instructional strategy. So, what I want to say that what is the nature of content as the teacher has to adopt the instructional strategy. Another step is evaluation. Evaluation means the objectives that you have decided earlier, how far you have achieved, now you have to assess these all. So, evaluation is the process that says about the effectiveness of the instructional processes, educational processes, that says about the effectiveness of educational processes. And evaluation is not only the evaluation of students, but evaluation of institutional practices, evaluation of teacher progress, and evaluation of instructional strategy and other content and other correlates also. Say for example, content, learning experiences, instructional strategies, these all likely to be evaluated in terms of evaluation, in terms of formative evaluation, in terms of summative evaluation, and in between diagnostic evaluation also. We will take it later on, say. So, we start one by one. First is objective. As I told you that objective is concerned with the proposed plan, and it is of two types, that is general objectives and another is specific objective. General objectives are concerned with the total objective of a particular subject. Say for example, we are teaching the subject education, this science. We are teaching the subject science in the school. What is its general objective? The general objective is to develop the proper scientific attitude among the students, developing scientific interest by providing scientific knowledge, and lastly the students will be able to apply these knowledge to the outer world, and we are able to produce good scientists, good doctors, good engineers, etc. So, objectives are the proposed plan. These are of two types. One is general, another is specific. General is concerned with the total objective of a particular subject, but specific is related to a particular topic. So, for example, you are teaching physics. In physics, you have selected the electricity as a chapter. So, what are the essentialities of that particular chapter that you have to deliver to your students? That will be your specific objectives. So, specific objectives are related to particular chapter or particular topic. Say for example, specific objectives of electricity are quite different from the specific objectives of the magnetism. So, after objectives, we have to select the content. Content means that the written words, it may be in the form of instructional strategies, it may be in the form of instructional formats, and it may be in the form of textbooks, it may be in the written essays or in the form of written text. Learning experiences that I told you, that is indirect and direct learning experiences. Direct learning experiences are related to direct learning, that is in contact of teacher and student, and indirect learning is that is not considered for the particular learning, but it happens in the classroom and the student observe the teacher every time. So, the gesture, posture, way of communication, way of paying respect to the elders, these all comes under the head of indirect learning experiences. Instructional strategies are concerned with the pedagogical practices and the these lecture demonstration, project method, heuristic method, these all are concerned in this instruction strategy. Evaluation is the last process where we evaluate the progress of the students and we also evaluate the progress of the educational process. So, with the help of evaluation, we can modify these all processes. So, these about the correlates of curriculum. and for that you must know that when we frame objectives, the objective should be flexible, so we can change it as per the need of the situation. And cognitive, affective and psychomotor, these domains are to be considered, that these all should be developed with the help of the lessons that you are going to deliver in the classroom. In selection of content, we have several principles, that is principle of variety, principle of relevance, principle of utility and principle of flexibility. Principle of utility, first one by one I am taking. Principle of utility, it means that whatever you are teaching in the classroom, it should be valuable for the students to utilize in the outer world. Principle of variety means if you are teaching one topic in the classroom, that should be explained with the help of various examples, because variety is there, the more easy for the student to understand the concept. Similarly, if there is relevance of this particular content with your topic, then students will be able to know the relevance and the justification of selection of that particular content. And flexibility is also one of the principle of this curriculum, because if the flexibility is there, then there is spaces that the new knowledge can be added by the teacher, because every day we have the advancement in knowledge and there is explosion of knowledge with the help of ICT, and new innovations are there. So, the topic that is given in the curriculum, that if it needs a kind of modification that is not given in your syllabus, not given in the textbook, at least a teacher familiarized with the outer world can add here. So, the rigidity means that whatever is written here, I have to follow it. So, no, it is not to be done, but what we have to do, we have a space in the content that whatever the changes is going in outer world, we can add here. So, principle of flexibility is also one of the principle while selection of the content. Learning experiences, I told you that try to give the such kind of experiences that are relevant and that have certain kind of benefit for the students in order to develop the personality. Say for example, orally you are delivering the lecture. So, what will happen? This is one way process. Only teacher centered strategy you are following, and when you are following the teacher centered, students are only keeping silence. They may be in the classroom and their minds may be outside the classroom. So, it is very essential that the learning experiences that you are providing in the classroom, it should be cheerful, it should be joyful and it should be pleasurable. So, such kind of planning a teacher should do before entering the classroom, that what I am going to teach in the classroom, it should be a kind of relevance and it should be a kind of significance for the development of the personality of the students and for enriching the cognitive, affective and psychomotor domain of the students also. So, a teacher has to play a role that before entering the classroom, prepare a lesson plan, observe it, that whether the activities that we have selected, the content that we have selected will be able to give the good experiences, good and valuable experiences to our students. It should be keep in mind before selecting the learning experiences, before selecting the activities of the lesson plan. Instructional strategies that I told you, that the teaching methodology that you have adopted, it should be as per nature of the content. If it demands your practical aspect, it should be demonstrated. It demands experimentation, you should make a experiment here, or it demands any kind of survey. So, provide the opportunity to the students for a survey, and so many experiences that you want to provide to your students, you may follow the similar kind of instructional strategy. In evaluation, there are 4 kinds of evaluation. Say for example, before entering the classroom, you have taken one exam of the student, that is placement evaluation. Placement evaluation means you are judging the students whether the student is able to enter in the classroom or not, whether the student is eligible to go through this kind of learnings or he is weak, in the sense that he is not knowing the valuable fundamental principles of the previous class. So, unable to cope up in this classroom. So, we start with the placement evaluation, where we try to check the previous knowledge of the students with the help of placement evaluation. When the student enters in the class, the instructional processes start and the learner starts receiving the knowledge and other kind of processes going on in the brain, then it passes to the affective domain, then to the psychomotor domain. So, after completing one unit or few topics of any syllabus, when teacher wants to know whether the content that I delivered in the classroom is suitable for the student or how far the student is able to understand me, let me check it. So, what is this? This is formative kind of evaluation. This is formative kind of evaluation, and it makes the teacher conscious. Say for example, if there are 50 students in the classroom and 35 students achieve more than 80% marks, it means the teaching is effective. And vice versa, if the 15 students are achieving the 80% marks and others are below of it, so it means a question mark for the teaching methodology. So, a teacher should understand what is wrong and what is right in the classroom. At the initial point, if you check it, you will be able to improve your methodology and you will be able to identify the students also, that those who are getting me and those who are not able to understand the talks that I am delivering in the classroom. Similarly, few points comes in the mind of a teacher that the content that I have delivered, it should be less in amount. It should be less in amount because most of the students are unable to understand me. So, it should be less in amount, it should be in simple language, the presentation should be changed and more interesting, more aids will be used here, and a kind of observation is very essential after passing through one unit of any chapter and understanding that where is difficulty students are feeling. So, this evaluation is a formative evaluation. If a teacher check it in early stage, can give certain kind of inputs to the teaching process. And another is the diagnostic kind of evaluation. In diagnostic kind of evaluation, we try to identify the difficulties of the students. Say for example, if student is having stammering and has hesitation to speak before all. So, a teacher's role is here to give the extra time or the remedial teaching to the student, and there are certain kind of aids also that treatment can be provided through hearing aids, through speech therapy and other kind of treatment that is required for that particular student. So, this is a kind of diagnostic evaluation where we can identify that what kind of difficulty a student has. You must observe that few students are very good in speech, but when they are writing, not giving the good results. Why it is so? Because their handwriting is not good, they don't want to write, they don't know the spellings of that particular subject. So many mistakes they are making there. That's why they are trying to minimize the writing habit, but only the verbal speech. So, what kind of difficulty a student has, we have to identify it in the classroom, and as per the improvement of this difficulty, we have provided the treatment to our students. So, this is a kind of diagnostic evaluation where a teacher has to put efforts in order to improve the difficulty that a student feels in the classroom. The last one is that is summative evaluation. That summative evaluation is essential to check it that what is needed for our institution or what kind of performance our student has shown. If the result is good, it means the process that applied by the institution is okay and good and can be carry on for the next session also. If we find any kind of complaints from the side of the parents, if we find any kind of improvement from the side of the staff, teaching staff, so we can do and we can take this exercise as an improvement for the students and for the improvement of the educational process of the institution also. This is summative kind of evaluation. On the basis of summative kind of evaluation, we declare the results of the students, we declare the grades of the students, and we allow the students to sit in the next class. That is certification, that we can say that is the next qualifying certification, that he has declared passed, qualified, and now can progress and can promoted to the next class. So, this is the summative evaluation. Sum means total. So, that is the total evaluation of whole the year, and all the improvements are done at the end of the session. So, this is summative kind of evaluation. So, in this cycle that I have shown you, that is objectives, content, learning experiences, instruction strategies and evaluation. These all are interlinked with each other. If any one correlate is missing, we can't follow the next one. So these all correlates has its own value, its own significance, and it has own kind of placement and a valuable place in the curriculum planning. So always remember that when we plan any curriculum, we have these 5 steps in curriculum planning. What are these? These are objectives, selection of objectives, content, criteria for the selection of content, learning experiences, that is the experiences provided by the teacher to the students in the classroom, instructional strategy, that is the teaching methodology adopted by the teacher, evaluation, that is to see what kind of progress and what kind of achievement we have made as per the objectives that we have decided in the first step. So, there is a space for modification. So, thank you very much to know about these all, that is correlates of curriculum. Thank you.